I think most women who are mothers would say that attachment to their children is a very natural thing. But as we get older, we may find ourselves attached to our adult children in ways that are unhealthy to us. And I want to talk to you today about this wall of detachment that we can establish in order to have a more healthy relationship with our adult children. My name is Margaret Manning. I'm with 60andMe, and I want to welcome you here today. This is a very emotional and difficult topic for some people to talk about, and I hope that the comments can be constructive and helpful. Our show today is brought to you by International Living. Now, International Living is a company that is dedicated to helping people get resources and information about retiring overseas. They do an annual report on global retirement locations and just give you all the information that you need to make an intelligent decision. So check out their website. It's internationalliving.com/60andme and see what resources and things they're offering at the moment. They will send you a free report. Just give them your email address, no obligation, and you can start to learn about the different opportunities that you have retiring overseas. Okay, so let's talk about attachment to older adult children. Now, I think as I said, it's very natural for mothers at any age to feel an attachment and a responsibility and connection to their children. It's good. It's kind of how it should be in some ways. We should be here for each other. But I think as we get into the age where our children are in their 30s and 40s, then it's time to take a look at our attachment to them and the motivation behind it, whether it's a healthy situation for us, and to move forward in a very positive way. Now, is detachment a wall? Well, it doesn't have to be. We don't have to do black and white. You know, if you feel that you are dependent on an attachment to an adult child, you don't have to cut it off completely. That isn't the answer. The answer is, in a way, to first of all look at why you feel that attachment, and what form that attachment takes. And I know how hard it can be, especially when your children are challenged as a lot of young people are these days, with finding work, finding a home to live in, finding support for a lifestyle which is shifting. And it's not easy. It's not easy. I don't know all the statistics, but there's a lot of young people in their 20s and 30s who are back living with their parents now. Part of it's because they're either not finding work that's paying them enough to get their own place, or sometimes it's just that they've made decisions in their life that are creating a dependency. And it's natural for a parent, a mother particularly, to want to protect them and help them through a difficult time. It's really a very powerful emotion. But I think, how do you practice a healthy detachment? That's the situation. Communication is obviously critical. And I think that some of the conversation pieces here we're going to talk about today will help you to overcome this kind of the barrier that appears to be in front of you. Now, this article I'm talking about, by the way, is by one of our bloggers called Christine Field. Now, Christine is an expert in this area. How to deal with the emotional attachment to adult children, and also how to deal with estrangement from children that sometimes happens as a result of this. Sometimes when you let go for yourself, for your own sanity, for your own well-being, you have to let go, maybe even not permanently, but at least temporarily. And there's an estrangement challenge too. Check out her website and also this article in full, because it's really helpful, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. So, she talks about these unmet needs that our attachment to our children, to adult children, are manifest. So is it first that you need to nurture someone? Now, we've talked about this before, that when you get older and maybe you're divorced, or your children are grown up and adults, you don't feel like you can nurture anybody anymore. Who are you going to love? Who are you going to protect? Who are you going to cuddle? And that need to nurture is sometimes the thing that drives an unhealthy relationship with your adult children. But you've got to look at yourself and see, is that the reason? Is it because you need to be nurtured yourself? You need to be feeling like you're of value, that you're wanted, that you matter, that you're relevant. And that's another driver that, you can't put that on your adult children. You can't expect them to put you at the center of their universe, especially if they are married or are with someone and have children of their own. You've got to let them have a life, and you've got to let them make mistakes the same way that you did. And you've got to let them walk the journey with you there present, but not overwhelming. So is it to nurture them? Is it for them to nurture you? Is it to see your work have an outcome? I mean, when you're raising children, you kind of, they go through the school years, they go through the early work experience, college, and you can tick a box. Yes, we got them through college, or yes, we got them through this situation. So is it because it gives you a sense of accomplishment, to go through the stages with your children, but taking on their pain, taking on their issues? A child who loves you back, of course. You got to keep these in your mind. What is it that's motivating you? How really do you want them to fulfill your desires and your needs? Is that part of the attachment? Now, of course, there is another switch here, is that you could have adult children who are dependent on you. And that's a whole other conversation that they've got to have with themselves. Why are they feeling the need to be nurtured, by someone that, in many ways is not their best point person, that we're not having the same experience as they are. We had in the past. And if you're not married any longer and you've got a son, it might be very difficult for you to relate to some of the things that they're going through. You're not a guy. But so that's important for you, to be aware of too, that sometimes children will turn it around. Basically, and Christine is so right here, is that we define ourselves. If you're a mother, you define yourself by your children. You're defined by the friends that you're friends with their parents, with their mom. You define your success as a human being about how well your children are doing in the world. And, when that role, maybe it's 18 years old, you decide that's the year, or 21, that you are now, kind of free of helping them on their journey. What's left? What is there for you to do? And unless you do some of the things that we talk about at 60andMe, which is to re-engage yourself with you, find out what your passions are. Do you want to go back to school? Do you want to, take on a new career, start a new business? Do you want to, start a new hobby or travel? What is it you want to do? And if you keep referencing that to what you should do as a mom, well into your children's 20s and 30s, I think that would be considered, I'm not going to use the word unhealthy, because everyone has a different view of that, but it's definitely interfering with you achieving your goals if you make your plans around their plans. So, and that's the challenge, is that when we make this decision to break away a little bit, to build that little bit of a detachment wall, we think, oh, we failed. What did we do? Why didn't I do that? Why didn't I do this? And even I was just having a conversation with one of my sons yesterday, and, he was talking about school experience. And I was like, oh my goodness, why did we do that? And why didn't I know? And it was like, he's sort of moved on, but we were just chatting about it. And it was like, I blamed myself, for decisions that I made. And how can you do that? You just can't keep doing that. So we have to, look at our situation and say we did the best we could. We were acting responsibly. We were acting with love, with a desire only for the best. And maybe things don't work out the way that we dream or that we expect. You can't control other people, right? I mean, this is one point that Christine makes, is that other people have got their own karma, their own situation. And, I remember once, this is another situation, but somebody was saying that their child was really hurt by something a teacher had said. And it was like, why did the teacher say that? That's kind of weird. And it was like, because they've got their own life. They've got their parents, their situation to deal with. So it was just a matter of you can't rely on other people. And I guess most important here is you can't rely on your children to make you happy. You can't rely on your children ever to make you happy. But, when they're young, it's easier to see their little smiles and their appreciation, and it's all very good. But when they get older, it's sometimes, not so easy to see the connection between their success in life and your happiness. It's not going to happen. You've got to take your own journey. And this, honestly, to me, is so much a part of being an older woman. This reinvention of yourself when you have adult children, because it doesn't matter whether they're 10, 30, or 50, you're going to feel worried for them. You're going to be concerned for their well-being, for their happiness. It's just almost part of, being a mom. But I think the other side that Christine talks about, and I won't spend a lot of time on this one because it's one that she's written about separately. We've talked about it separately, and that is estrangement, where your child just says, Mom, stop. For whatever reason, my wife is more important. I'm going to do what she wants us to do. That is so reasonable. That's their life. But so many arguments occur around that point, that somehow you don't get on with the daughter-in-law or son-in-law, and that you're not going to ever be part of their life again. And they just say that we can't take it anymore, and they either restrict you from seeing your grandchildren, or you can't have a good conversation. It's just so much a part of it. Now, I'm going to stop there because that is the end of the video, but also my doorbell's ringing, and that might be somebody delivering me something wonderful. So I'm going to go. But tell me, do you still find it hard to let go of your adult children? Do you find it hard? What are you doing? Leave your comments below. I'd love to have a conversation on this. Have a wonderful, wonderful day wherever you are. And thanks for being here. Bye-bye for now.